Hey guys, this is Candle, and welcome to a new collection update. I do have a small stack of games, so we're probably going to run through it pretty quickly, but they are more new releases, which is pretty much why it's a small stack of games. You can only afford so many games in a month or two when most of them are like 50, 60 bucks. So starting up was probably the cheap one. I think I got it for like 30, 40 bucks, is the Collection of Mana for the Switch. Yes, this they announced it at E3 that it was finally coming to the West, and they put it up on the eShop on E3. But we had to actually wait for a month or two in order to get a physical copy of it, which is amazing. In a tiny little Switch cartridge there. But yeah, it's a Collection of Mana. It has Final Fantasy Adventure, which in Japan was known as Seiken Densetsu, Secret of Mana, and Trials of Mana, which we now have a proper Western title for it. Previous to now, it had really only been known as Secret of Mana 2, even though it was the third Mana game, as Seiken Densetsu 3, because it had never actually released. This is a collection of retro games. Final Fantasy Adventure was an original Game Boy game, and Secret of Mana and Seiken Densetsu 3, or as it's now called, Trials of Mana, were Super Nintendo games. And even though fan translations of Seiken Densetsu 3 have existed for over a decade now, this game had never made it to the West, properly locally translated and everything, until now. Now, we are getting a remake of Trials of Mana coming out, I believe, in April, so I'm looking forward to that. But I'm definitely glad to actually have a legal copy of the Super Nintendo version as well. Because one of these days I was planning on getting a reproduction cartridge with the English ROM on it, the English hacked ROM on it. But either way, definitely glad to have this now. Finally have Collection of Mana. The only other Switch game I got at this point, there were others I was looking at. Like I wanted to get Link's Awakening, but I didn't think the $60 price tag was justified for what's essentially just a trumped up visual overhaul to a 20-year-old Game Boy game. But I did get Astral Chain. This is from Platinum Games. They're the same people that made Bayonetta and Wonderful 101 and what else did they make? Uh, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. They did. So this has been a little bit interesting, a little bit fun. You play as either of these two characters here. They're twins, brother and sister. You get to pick which one you play as, and then you are linked and bound with a chain, hence the name Astral Chain, to what's basically kind of like almost a monster, and you kind of fight alongside them, where the monster will attack automatically, but you can direct it where to go with the right stick, while you're handling the main character with the left stick and sending out attacks and so on. So it's quite a bit of fun. I'm still fairly early into it. I've been playing other things as well, including the Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch Remastered. This is the PS4 version because the Switch version is not a remaster. That's just a port of the original PS3 game, which came out, I think, in 2012. I never really gave this game much of a chance when it first came out. I enjoyed what I played of it, but didn't really give it much of a chance then. But I am glad to play it again now. I still haven't gotten too far into it, but I am enjoying it a little bit more. I think I understand the combat a little bit better this time, so it's easier for me to wrap my head around and everything. Beautiful, beautiful game. And the reason why I wanted the remastered version specifically is because it plays at 1080p 60 FPS on a or it might be 1080p 30 FPS, I don't remember, but on a base PS4 that's what it does. And on a PS4 Pro like I have, you have the option of either running it in 4K 30 or 1440p 60, which this game also features animated cutscenes in the anime style from Studio Ghibli, but those still run at 30 FPS no matter what. You know, they can't really just go in and add more frames for that. But it's really nice because this game was originally 720p, so the PS4 Pro options scale beautifully. 1440p, that's a 2x scale, and then 4K, that's a 3x scale. So it looks goddamn gorgeous in 4K on a proper TV and display and everything. And yeah, I am playing it 4K 30. It's a turn-based RPG. You don't really have too much action going on, so you don't really need all those extra frames, as nice as they would be. But if you do want them, you can take a little bit of a graphical hit to run it at a little bit lower resolution, which is still a pretty good resolution as well. But anyways, Moving on, I also have Gears 5. I went ahead and picked up the Xbox version of this instead of the PC version like I did last time. But I did the Xbox version because, I have the rest of the games on Xbox. I love having a physical collection, as you can see behind me. So I had to get it on Xbox one day, so I figured why not just play it on Xbox to begin with. Pretty fun game. There's a couple issues I had with it. Something I didn't realize was this is semi-open world. The campaign is split into four acts like normal, but Act 2 and Act 3 have these large expansive maps where you can travel around on during or between missions, and there's not really much to do in the maps themselves. There's a couple locations to explore and a couple side missions to complete, basically tiny little fights to do. So it's not a huge step forward in terms of open world environments or anything, but it is kind of neat to do. That wasn't my gripe though. My gripe was this game has an RPG element in the fact that your robot companion Jack can be upgraded by components you find throughout the campaign, throughout the environments and so on, and it allows you to respec them. I ran into a bug where I respec'd Jack in the middle of Act 3, and then it bugged out on me and would not let me progress. I had to pick up an upgrade for Jack that was part of the story, and even though I picked it up and could use the upgrade, the game just would not recognize that I had picked it up. It would not advance to the next section of the campaign. So I ended up having to replay the entire third act over again. But still, quite a fun game. I have not played the multiplayer yet because I'm not currently subscribed to Xbox Live, but it's Gears. What more can you expect? I also picked up the Dark Pictures anthology, Man of Madden. This is from the same people that made Until Dawn on the PS4. I actually almost did get this on the PS4, but I figured, you know what, my Xbox collection is a little bit lacking compared to my PS4. Plus, the Xbox One X, typically when it comes to console games, the Xbox One X is the one that sees the best performance. That's the one where you'll get a native 4K image rather than an upscaled or a checkerboard upscaled or 1440p on the PS4 and so on. So I ended up playing this. It was a bit fun. It was a bit short. It's about 6 hours or so, I want to say. Which, I mean, it's not bad considering what it is. It's basically you're acting out a horror movie, and there is something that is contradictory in that, because you can kill your characters in this, and in a horror movie, most characters are probably going to die, and that kind of ups the stakes. It shows the threat and everything. Whereas here, the threat is basically just, don't screw up. Don't mess up the QTEs. But it is kind of interesting. And what's really interesting as well is Supermassive Games is taking on a massive undertaking with their Dark Pictures anthology, because this Man of Medan is supposed to be the first in a series of similar style games, which may or may not pan out for them. I mean, look at what happened to Telltale. They didn't really change up their formula at all, and this is pretty much the exact same formula as Until Dawn. But it's going to be different stories, so if they can improve their writing, I can see it working. Improve their writing, maybe improve their gameplay a little bit. I can see it working, but because this is riddled with plot holes as well. It's like no matter how well you do it, it's going to be riddled with plot holes. But it's still really fun because it's you're basically playing out the movie Ghost Ship, kind of. It's very similar to that, and it's still quite a good game, I think. And then of course the final one, me being a fan of Remedy and their games like Alan Wake, which I've played for the channel, as well as Alan Wake's American Nightmare, Max Payne games 1 and 2, and Quantum Break, I of course had to pick up and play Control, which is phenomenal. It really is a phenomenal game. If you like Twin Peaks, if you like SCP, if you like X-Files, that kind of thing, you're gonna like Control. The story is really, really interesting in that way, and the gameplay is not bad too either. The gunplay is a little bit basic. It's a little bit interesting because you only get one gun, but it can transform into these different applications. So you start out with what's basically a pistol, and then you can turn it into like a shotgun, a sniper rifle, a grenade launcher, and stuff like that. And it's really kind of interesting. But alongside that, you also have certain psychic powers that you can use. Like the first one you get, and the one you're probably using the most in combat, is a form of telekinesis called Launch, where you basically pick objects up from the environment. You can even rip pieces off of the environment, like chunks of concrete and everything, and you lob it at enemies. And it's really a lot of fun just flipping back and forth between the two. And then you also get other abilities like ripping parts of the wall and the floor away in order to create a shield to protect yourself, controlling enemies like mines and so on, like taking them over, and levitating and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. Really, really good take, I think. And even better, this is definitively set in the same world as Alan Wake, possibly the same world as Quantum Break, and there are nods to Max Payne as well. So there is the burgeoning culmination of a Remedy verse where they're putting like all their games together, and I really love that. I love when things like that come together, especially if like that wasn't the original intent. It just kind of grew organically as well, and I really do enjoy things like that. I just don't like it when they get way overblown like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is starting to get. But anyways, that is it for now, and that is probably going to be it for a couple months. I probably will only have one, maybe two more collection updates for the rest of the year, because there are some big purchases I want to make over the next few months, and I really need to save up for them. Most notably, I want to get a new chair here because this one's falling apart. I want to get some new bookcases for my game collection because these ones I can't add new shelves into them, and I'm running out of space with the shelving I have. But if I can get bookcases where I can put more shelves into them, I can compact it down a bit. And I want to put a new graphics card in my computer, get a new monitor, recording setup, and so on. So it's going to be a little while. You know, I've got a few more games I'm planning to get this year, like Luigi's Mansion 3, Doom Eternal, and so on. So there's a few more games I want to get this year. Plus, I do want to get a few more retro games if I can, but I'm probably only going to have one or two more collection updates. I am, however, going to be coming back to doing Let's Plays, I think. I'm going to be starting out probably with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, because the time for spooks and gooks is upon us nearly, and I like vampires, and there's a new Vampire Bloodlines game coming out in, I think, February that I want to get hyped for. So I'm probably going to start out with that one, but then I'm going to be going back and doing Golden Sun 2, and I'm probably going to be at some point redoing a few of my old Let's Plays. I don't know exactly which ones or when, but I've got some ideas. So I can't stay away. Every now and I stop for a few months, and then I feel the urge to do Let's Plays again. So we'll see how long it lasts, you know. So anyways, until then, until next time, see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.